not only all religions are based on a belief system. You watch carefully, even science is a religion because it is also based on a belief system. Science believes in empiricism, which means it only accepts as facts those which appeals to the senses. Now, on the other hand, if you look at all the religious beliefs, though we may call it baseless, it is as baseless as a scientific belief. Now, let's go a little deeper into this belief systems as such. So, what do we mean by a belief system? A belief system is something which, according to our normal understanding of our English language as we use it in our day-to-day life, we differentiate between facts and opinions. Facts are those which is proved, and opinions are those which is not. Now look at it very carefully. Even science which claims certain things to be fact also changes when better and better knowledge comes into the picture. Okay, I'm going to skip all this a little bit and then go a little in a different track for some time. Let's say, for example, start asking, who am I? Ramana asked the same question, who am I? As well Jung, as well Freud, as well some philosophers. Jung, by the way, is both a philosopher and a psychologist. Both Jung and Freud have talked a lot about psychotherapy. He says that using therapy, which means to help somebody get cured. So any abnormal behavior or psychological disparity with some people, they need therapy, and because it involves mind, we call it psychotherapy. And psychotherapy is a technique by which we cure human beings with their mental diseases. Now it's $1 million question to say, what is a disease? Dis-ease. We know the bodily dis-ease. But how much do we understand this psychological dis-ease? Let me share some theory first. Many of you might have read this Jungian Carl Jung's philosophy and psychotherapy and techniques. Briefly, for those who might not have read the literature, like the works of Jung, let me go through it in a brief manner first. What Carl Jung believes is that you, as a person, there are two parts, conscious and unconscious. And the center of conscious is the self or the ego. He doesn't use self for the center of consciousness. Jung uses self as the center of unconscious, and Jung uses ego as the center of conscious. Now, Jung goes on to say that whatever we are aware of is the consciousness, I would like to use the word prajna. When I have to draw a parallel with what our Upanishads and the Indian traditional system talks about, is, interestingly, Jagrata, Sushupti, Swapna. So Jagrata Avastha is what we are now going through. We know what it is. Sushupti is in between the Jagrata and Swapna. And Swapna, as you know, is a dream state. So it is either we are awakened, we are in deep sleep, or we are in a dream state. Now we all know dream is an illusion. Now when we say dream is an illusion, then what we now see all around us, is it an illusion? That's another very interesting question. You should have seen movies like Inception and Matrix especially. Are we in the virtual reality or are we real? That also is a $1,000,000 question. This question was first asked by Janaka Maharaja. I presume that you all know this Ashtavakra Kada. Janaka Maharaja once dreamt as if he was a beggar. He was as if he was begging in the streets. Now, when you get such a dream, it's a shocking dream. It was not shocking when he was a beggar in the street begging. But once he woke up, he called his minister and asked him, I have a doubt. Am I King Janaka dreamt as if I was a beggar? Or am I really the beggar dreaming as if I am King Janaka? The minister said, obviously you are King Janaka. You dreamt, forget about it. You need not be worried about the dream anymore. For the amount of assets we have, it will run for generations. He said, no. My doubt is not that. My doubt is, very clearly, is what I am now living as King Janaka is real? Or is this a dream of something else? Now many ministers and so many people came there to dispel his doubts, but King Janaka wasn't convinced. And then Ashtavakra came, and Ashtavakra Gita is another very big set of poetry like Bhagavad Gita, which try to explain about the nature of reality. But the point, the underlying point, I'm going to skip all those things. Maybe in another time we will probably take up Ashtavakra Gita. But as of now, the crux of the point is very simple. Now you are aware and you dreamt as if you were a beggar, but in the dream when you were a beggar, you hadn't had the consciousness of the king. Therefore, from the perspective of being Janaka, that's a dream. But the next question, whether this is a dream, can be answered one and only if you wake up from this state. Probably there is a much better state than this. Once you go to that state, then you will see being King Janaka as a dream. Now, ad infinitum, what if it is keep going? This will keep going till the state when you know the nature of reality. Once you self-realize and once you understand who you are really, probably you will be able to dispel all the questions and actually know the real reality. So if at all we are going to assume that there is something called objective reality, then one thing is very sure, that whatever we are going through in this transient states is not absolute, because all these are susceptible to changes. Therefore, we need to realize to a particular point where we will be able to say the real thing. We will not be able to say, but at least we will be able to realize that we have reached that state. Okay. Now, where does this come in our Indian philosophy? We deviated from Indian philosophy, if recollected. In Indian philosophy, it talks about an ego which is the center of conscious self, which is Jagrata. And he says that there is an unconsciousness which is also a part of us. The whole personality, the individual, has got two parts, which is conscious and unconscious, which is very much logical. Because we all know what we consciously go through as experiences, as knowledge or whatever. But we also know there are so many hidden things in us in the level of unconscious, which we will not know unless we make an attempt to understand that. Now there are psychological theories which also talks about unconscious and subconscious. Now let me stick to Jung as of now. That deviation will take it up at some other time. So he talks about this unconscious, and he talks about two types of unconscious. He is not using the word subconscious, he is using the word unconscious, and he says that there is one persona, one thing under the unconscious, which is the collective unconscious, and the other one is the personal unconscious. Personal unconscious is hidden within us, which we do not know that we know. The collective unconscious is also a set of things which we do not know that we know. Now, when you talk about this collective unconscious, he talks about archetypes. What are archetypes? Archetypes are all those social structures which we live with. Say, for example, if my son is going to come and tell, call me dad, and then talks about it, then I take an archetype, unconscious personality as daddy. And my friend comes and says, hi, how are you? Then I take up this persona which is an archetype friend. So I'm expected to behave as a father in a particular way, and I'm expected to behave as a friend in a particular way. I'm expected to behave like an employer with my employees, and employees to an employer, etc. But when we talk about this other unconscious, he creates 4 divisions. They are namely animus, shadow, persona, and self. What are all these things? Persona is very much more like an archetype. Persona is what I project myself to others as who am I with respect to what they want me to be. That's a persona. In very simple terms, the mask I show people. I am so and so to you. I show that. It's a mask. That's a persona. Now, I am not conscious of it. Why am I not conscious of it? Because it comes naturally. Whenever I see somebody, I wear a mask according to the circumstances as it is. On the other hand, when I'm going to talk about a character, that is my true self. I may not show my true self to everybody, and I may show a persona to everybody. And I have already discussed in some other interview with regard to the difference between a character and a behavior.